Okay, so this is going to be my birth story. I am now 6.5 weeks postpartum. I'm going based solely off of memory here. Not sure if I'm going to remember everything, but we'll see. Um, First, the history. I, of course, had blood pressure issues when I was pregnant. So my doctor told me he didn't want me to go past 38 weeks. He wanted me to go to the hospital and be induced no later than that. So on February 7th, that was a Thursday night. No. Yeah. It's Thursday night. We got to the hospital at 6 p.m., my husband and I. And at first they told us, all the beds are full. We don't have any rooms. They had I think 16 women giving birth that weekend. It was crazy at that hospital. So we had to sit in the waiting room for 20 minutes, and they had a room being cleaned that we eventually got to. So as soon as we get to the room, they start hooking me up with everything, get the IV put in my hand, which I hated. Hate IVs, especially the ones that go right. Could not stand that. That was probably one of the worst experiences of the whole thing. Got all the heart. Oh my gosh. Also, did not know this, but they take your blood pressure. You have the cuff around your arm that stays there, and they take your blood pressure every 20 minutes for the first, I swear it was the first 6 hours of me being in there. And I was like, come on. Because I hate having my blood pressure taken because it squeezes the life out of your arm. Imagine having that done every 20 minutes on the dot, no matter what. Hated that too. Wow, this is going to be a complaining vlog, isn't it? I hope not. Anyway, moving on. So I get all that hooked up to me. I'm feeling good. She tells me she's going to bring in a little tablet, not an oral tablet. I'll just let you imagine where this tablet goes. That is going to be the first dose, and then there will be another one that she'll give me at midnight. I'm like, okay. She's like, that's the first step of the inducing process. So I'm like, all right. When she comes back with the tablet, she does her thing. And I'm left to just, sit there. My husband and I are watching TV. We're all good. We're posting on Facebook. Probably around, I would say, 10 or 11 o'clock, I start feeling pressure. But I'm completely confused. I don't know if this is just, a side effect of the tablet she's given me, or if I'm actually having full-on contractions. So when the nurse comes back in the room, I say, I'm feeling kind of weird. Not sure if this is an actual contraction. And she just looks over the screen and she goes, yep, your contractions are starting, and you should start to see them, escalate fairly quickly, start getting longer, Anyway, so oh, well, that's exciting. So up until midnight, I'm still feeling pretty good. I'm feeling the contractions, but I'm not hurting. I'm like, oh, this is a piece of cake. This is fine. And she comes in to do that second tablet, the second dose, and all's well. And at this point, right after she does this, I start hurting. Not really bad, but it's an uncomfortable feeling. So she comes in the room a little bit later, and I say, I'm starting to feel kind of uncomfortable. I hate taking medication, and I told her this. I said, but I'm trying to get to sleep because I know tomorrow's going to be a really big, long day. What can I do? And she offered to give me Ambien and something for pain. And so I'm like, all right, might as well. She comes in, she gives me 2 Ambien and 2 something or others for pain. I don't even remember the name, because after she gives me the Ambien, I must be a weakling, because after she drugged me up with all that, it was a whole other world. In about, I'm kind of guessing here on the times, because like I said, I was out of it. I felt so loopy, yet I don't even remember how much I slept, because I was just completely out of it. But I do remember starting to really hurt. And I guess it was around probably 1 or 2 in the morning. Again, guessing. And I just feel all this warm liquid. Now, I'm sorry if this is too much information for you, but I'm just being completely honest and telling you everything that happened. And I start freaking out. Now, mind you, like 30 minutes before this happens to me, the nurse comes in and she's talking to me about some girl who is freaking out because she thought her water just broke. And she's basically making fun of her, saying her water didn't break. She was fine. I'm like, oh, crap. I'm about to do the same exact thing. She's going to go and make fun of me to somebody else. So when she comes into my room, I'm like, funny thing. I just felt like a whole big gush of liquid. I don't know if I peed my bed or if my water broke, but it's still coming out of me. Literally. Weirdest feeling ever. And she goes, well, let me check you. And she goes down there. She's like, yeah, your water broke all on its own. Hello. And she goes, now you're going to be feeling this, this flu and everything. It doesn't stop. It's not a one-time thing. It's continuous. Let me tell you, weirdest, grossest feeling ever. I'm laying in bed and she has these really big absorbent pads. They're like big, square. It looks like I can't even explain, just a big squared piece of fabric, papery stuff that's super absorbent. She said, this will just soak up everything. Don't worry. And she puts it under me. She puts a couple of them under me. Have you ever laid in bed peeing yourself for 30 minutes? Because that's what it feels like. You feel helpless. It was so strange. It was so strange. But it after that was over, contractions really started hurting. Oh my goodness. At this point, I am in super, super crazy pain. I feel gross beyond belief. And I'm still drugged up on Ambien and whatever pain medication she gave me. So around this point, it's almost time for my epidural. But I'm so out of it. I don't hear them talking about it. I know my husband was there and he's the one that told me a lot of this. But what's crazy is every time I had a really strong contraction, I would have this weird dream where I was playing a game with like pastel colored like baby blocks. There was a giraffe in there somewhere. I am gone. Completely gone. And probably 2 or 3 hours pass before I actually get the epidural. But this whole time, I am just going crazy. I'm hurting. I'm like gripping the sides of the bed like, someone help me, please. Finally, the only thing I remember about the epidural process is them trying to set me up on the side of the bed. And all I kept hearing was, okay, you need to be still. You need to be still. Apparently, I'm like swaying back and forth because I hurt so bad and I wouldn't sit still. And after that, I was gone. I was completely out until probably 7 or 8 a.m. the next morning when I woke up and they were saying, okay, we're going to be doing this thing soon. Doctors and nurses talking to me, and they're just a big warbled mess. I'm still out of it because now I've got 2 Ambiens, 2 pain medications, and an epidural in my system. Plus, I'm probably sleep deprived. I don't even remember how much I slept. So you get the idea. At about 9 a.m., they had planned for me to just go in and have a C-section. Partly because of the blood pressure issues, and partly because my mom had to have a C-section with all of her kids because she was too narrow, and they figured it would be the same in my case. Well, they came in and they told me, well, you look good, your vitals are good, we're going to try to push, because they knew how important it was, at least for me to try to push and do it naturally. So I'm glad that they let me do that. I don't remember what time it was when I started trying to push. I'm still out of it. But I pushed for a good hour, they said. And go figure, same case as what my mom had. The baby would not fit. Nolan would not, there was no way. So after about an hour of me pushing, the doctor says, we're going to have a C-section, but you gave it a good go. I'm like, all right. So in comes this other dude, some anesthesiologist, I don't know, injecting more stuff into me to numb me, you know, all that good stuff. More drugs. That's not what I needed, but, you know, they had to do what they had to do. He says, okay, this stuff that I'm giving you right now, it's going to make you shaky and you're probably going to feel cold, but it's going to make you really shaky. That's one of the side effects. And boy, did it ever. As I'm rolling to the operating room, the OR, I remember when they go through the doors of the OR and this room is super bright. It's like crazy bright. I feel like they're rolling me into heaven, but it's like an ice box. It is freezing in there. They could have been hanging meat on the walls. It was so cold. Now, I immediately start shaking. I don't know if it's because I'm freezing or if it's that with a combination of that stuff that guy injected into me, but I'm going crazy because I'm so cold. I have my arms stretched out on either side of my head, laying down, and my arms start getting, oh, they hurt so bad. I don't know what caused that. I really don't. My shoulders and my neck were super stiff. I wanted to cry. I probably did cry. I don't remember. But I kept asking. There was a doctor standing behind me, and he kept asking me, is there anything you want me to get you? I can, you know, whatever you need. And I kept saying, I'm cold. I'm cold. That's all I could say. And that's all I remember, saying, I'm cold. And he would bring these heated towels over to me. He would put one on each of my arms. He would wrap my head in a heated towel. And like I swear every 5 minutes, he would go and he would get a warmer towel and he would take all the other ones off of me, put the warmer ones on. I'm laying there and I'm in pain because of my tense shoulders and arms, and I'm freezing. And what seemed like probably an hour of being in there, I hear the nurses and the doctor on the other side say, okay, well, he's about to come out, you know. And they're asking my husband if he wants to see and all this other stuff. And my husband's like, no, I'm good. That's okay. So all of a sudden, they go, okay, you're going to feel a lot of pressure. I felt nothing. No pressure at all. Probably because I had 50 million drugs into me, but regardless, all of a sudden I hear the babies cry. That cry was the sweetest thing and the most just relieving sound, the best sound ever. And I remember crying when I heard him cry, and being so happy, and I kept wanting to see him. It took me 30 minutes to see Nolan. 30 minutes. They didn't let him peek over the curtain. They didn't come and show him to me really quick. They immediately took him over and started cleaning him up and everything like that. And oh my gosh, it was horrible. I had to lay there while they, finished, stitching me up and everything and cleaning him up before I could even see him. Oh, I was dying. I remember as long as I kept hearing him cry, I was fine. I knew he was okay. Finally, my husband has him in his arms, and he comes over and walks over to me and shows him to me. And he was just, oh my gosh, I remember looking at him going, wow, he's cute. I'm expecting this scrunchy little, that was cute, huh? But this baby was adorable. And granted, every mother will probably say the same thing. He was just the most beautiful thing I ever laid my eyes on. But he definitely was. And they finished stitching me all up and wheeled me back to the room where all my family was waiting. And Nolan was already in there with all my family all over him. And overall, it was a really good experience. Do I wish that I could have given birth naturally? Of course. But, Nolan's over there making noises. But I'm glad it went the way it did. I at least got to try and push. The nurses, everyone in that hospital was so nice and helpful and caring. I didn't feel like they were just nurses doing their job. I felt like they were friends helping me and taking care of me, which was really nice. I left them a really good note, basically just thanking them for everything, for making me feel so good throughout the whole thing. Having a baby for the first time especially is scary, and you don't know what to expect. You kind of go into the whole thing just, it's just a very odd experience. You're kind of letting things happen as they happen, and it's a lot of excitement, but it's also just incredibly scary. And having those caring nurses and doctors helped so much. And I, of course, had tons of family and friends come and visit me, made sure I was doing well. They would bring me food, all that good stuff. I loved my stay at the hospital. I actually cannot wait to be pregnant again. I miss being pregnant. And I read that online. A lot of moms were saying, once you have your baby, once you give birth, you may miss that feeling of being pregnant. And I was like, why would you miss being pregnant? Because I'm reading this as I'm, 36, 37 weeks, huge, uncomfortable, and going, yeah, right. Once I'm not pregnant anymore, thank goodness. No. I have that empty feeling. I have that feeling of wanting a baby inside me, growing and safe and warm. But overall, it was wonderful. I would do it again sometime. No, it's probably going to be another at least year and a half to 2 years before we start trying for kids again. Nolan does need a little sibling, and he'll get one, just won't be anytime soon. I think that just about covered it. I probably left out some things. I probably left out a lot between 12 a.m. and 8 a.m. that next morning when I was completely out of it, but for the most part, you got the gist. All right, moving on. I'm going to be making a video right now because I'm starting to do this whole weight loss thing, but more about that in a bit. All right, bye y'all.